I just to underline the purpose of this whole retreat and study and seminar is that we should not just read this text, but we should pass through the stages in which the text takes us. And it has already taken us a long way, and it takes us to a very high level of consciousness. And that is only possible if we are that patra, and patra means not only empty and silent and receptive and sahridaya, with an open heart, etc. And not putting all our ideas and all our discussions and so on. I am all open for a discussion of a meaningful kind on the text and on the experience the text is conveying to us. But, as Swamiji said, it requires an environment of silence. So it is nothing we want to impose on you. You should impose it on yourself. To make the possible profit, greatest possible profit of these days, which are a gift of the divine, to have this time to dedicate ourselves to this spiritual path and to attain that level of consciousness which the Vijnana Bhairava is aiming at. So thank you again for underlining the need for creating that environment. Actually, what these Mangala Shlokas are doing, for people who are in a traditional environment, they collect our distracted thoughts, they focus our thoughts on one thought, which is the thought of the divine, and from this dualistic vikalpas to this non-dual realization of the divine, which has been beautifully expressed in these verses. The last one, what we learned of Somananda, this Asmadrupa Samavishta, is an example of this leading you to a total vision of oneness, of non-duality. And so these verses are not just a little music in the beginning, but they should focus our attention to that which is the goal of this retreat. And the goal is nothing very low. It is something very high to which we should aim. So, let us come back to our Mangala. Should we add one more? Maybe Agadha Samshayam Bodhi. That is the fourth on the page 1. If you want, also we can repeat the Hirunam so that it really gets into our system and relieves us from fear. Start with Pirunam, and then Agadha Samshayam Bodhi, the new one. Pirunam apaya prado avapaya kantasya hetu stato etani patitascha piravarucham Ishontaka syantaka Piram Vayatiya Svayogini Vahas Tasya Prabhu Bhairavo Vishvasmin Paranadikrit Vijayatir Vijnana Rupa Para. Agata Samshayambodhi, it is belongs to the Spandakarika, one of the fundamental texts of Kashmir Śaivism. Actually, it comes at the end, but it should be expected to come at the beginning. But still, coming at the end is also meaningful because it says, I pay my homage to that wonderful speech of my Guru, which is like a boat for crossing the fathomless ocean of doubt, and is full of words which yield wonderful meaning. So this refers not only to the words of the Guru, but first of all to the words of the Tantra itself, which, as we have several times said, that there are so many layers of meaning of this Tantric language, and this language is like a boat making us cross that fathomless ocean of doubt. So these words of the Guru means of the divine Guru, Shiva, which make us cross over. I know there's so many doubts and so many questions which we have not expressed, but it will come. So Agatha Samshayambodhi. Those of us who know it, sing it once and then you repeat. Agatha Samshayambodhi Samutaranatarini Vande Vichitratabhada Chittanta Guru Bharati. Agatha Samshayambodhi Samutaranatarini Vande Vichitratabhada Chittanta Guru Bharati. It is a new tune, so let us repeat once more. Agatha Samshayambodhi Samutaranatarini Vande Vichitratabhada Chittanta Guru Bharati. And just coming back for a moment on that expression in the one was dharana related to the mudras, because the important word is here trishtikale, and I am not very happy with the interpretation Swamiji has given at the time of practice. And Silburn, who was also studying with Swamiji, she translates it in a different way. She says, at the moment of the global intuition, at the moment of the universal vision, the moment you have that, get that universal vision, these mudras appear. And I'm sure Swamiji has taught her this also. And of course, maybe you can pin me down with the same text I have taught another time, and maybe I said something different. So my guru also, different times he was teaching in a different way. But I rather agree with this meaning at the time of that universal vision. Drishti here in a very vast sense, Drishtikala. At the moment of having that global, that universal vision, then these mudras appear by themselves. So I asked forgiveness to my master to disagree with him, but I think the other meaning was also taught by him. Now we have come at the group of entering into a state of supportlessness, niradhara, nirashraya, and these concepts, they come again and again, because as you move on and you are freed from that, as we have gone through all these practices with shunya, experiencing the void in the body and outside and inside, and then freeing yourself from that heaviness of materiality and substantiality, and then meditating on this sitting or lying on nothing. And this is a dharana, which you can surely do. And even you can do it when you are in a very relaxed position. No Padmasana or something. Well, in Padmasana, those who are able to do it, wonderful. But even lying down in a relaxed way and just doing that bhavana that you are lying on nothing. So these are the anavopaya methods of reaching a state of supportlessness. And what is the aim of the practice? Of course, it is presented in so many different ways, and the result of the practice is expressed in so many different ways. But ultimately, it should lead us to a state of pervasiveness, we have seen that, vyapakatva, pervasion, and freedom, and actually this Kechari Mudra, I have not said much about Kechari Mudra, which is very, very important. It means also that freedom, that moving in the sky of consciousness. And that universality. So the movement is, as Swamiji used to say, from individuality to universality, but then to integrate both the body and the cosmos, etc. So all these processes, they lead you from that body consciousness to that cosmic consciousness, and then to integrate both. And there is one mudra which is not mentioned in that verse, and which is, for me, the key to this integration of the inside and the outside, and that's called Krama Mudra. But I'm not talking about it because the text doesn't use it now, but still we will come to that, because it is a very important practice and experience. Again, you see, certain dharanas, they are, that you have seen it yourself. Practice, which you have to do, and others are experiences. And in some cases, the two are combined, or as we said, with nirvikalpa is the condition and also the result. So they are connected in that way, the practice and the result. But the higher you go with your practice, the more spontaneous the experiences become. The less effort you need, the more you enter into that state unexpectedly also, moments and unexpected situations. That's why these verses which say yatra yatra tatra tatra, wherever you are, in whatever condition you are, you experience the same state of consciousness. Now, and to experience that pervasiveness and that freedom, again and again the image of the sky, of the empty space is used. We had yesterday all these words, ka and akasha and vyoma and vyat and so on. So we're coming back to that. At different points of the text, he's coming back to that experience of the space. And this is very much, as I mentioned already before, connected with the Upanishadic meditations on that space in the heart, which contains the whole universe, etc., etc. Chandogya Upanishad 8, I think. Now, we recite 84, 85, 86. Or we can up to 88. The other theme comes, but it doesn't mean. We can recite from 84 to 88. Akasham vimalam pashyam kritva drishtim nirantaram staptatma tatkshanadevi bhairavam vapurapnuyat linamutna davatsavam bhairavatvena bhamayet Tatsaram Bhairavakara Tejastatvam Samadishit Kim Chijñātam Dvaitadayi Bahyalokastamapuna Vishvadi Bhairavam Rupam Gyatvananta Prakashaprit Evameva Tunishayam Krishna Pakshagamechiram Taimiram Pavayan Rupam Bhairavam Rupamishyati Evameva nimilyakto netre Krishna pamakrata tasadam Bhairavam rupam bhavayan stanmayo bhavet. So there are several practices with the sky, the external and the internal. So here the external sky, the pure cloudless sky, looking at the clear sky, one should fix one's gaze without blinking. Now, whenever it's a question of a practice with open eyes without blinking, it is a higher stage. Before we are closing Nimilana and Unmilana. Nimilana Samadhi, Unmilana Samadhi. And the earlier practices, they are related to closing the eyes, internalization, interiorization, and entering the heart, and etc. But as we progress, it practice with open eyes without blinking, fixed. And that is one characteristic of the Bhairavi Mudra also. So make one's body motionless. In that very instant, O goddess, one attains the nature of Bhairava. Bhairavam vapur apnoyat. Vapur, I already said, that is the cosmic, light-filled, luminous body of the divine. So by merging into that pure space, akasha, with being completely fixed with your eyes and the body motionless, then you become one with that cosmic, luminous body of the divine. It's a very powerful practice. Stabda Atma, being completely established. Don't move neither your eyes nor your body. And here Swamiji says, obviously, this is Shambhavabhaya, the supreme means, because there is no effort, there is not even a bhavana, not even concentration, it's just looking. So that drishti, it has accompanied us already, the vision, looking, and here it's again drishti. Drishti can be that vision, the internal or the external vision, but drishti is here, again important. And immediately that the experience of the external space is internalized in 85. One should contemplate the entire sky, which is of the nature of Bhairava, as if it is pervading one's head. Then one experiences everything as the form of Bhairava, and one enters into the glory of his nature. Tejas tattvam samavishet. Now, we had another meditation on the skull, the space in the skull, and there are two more, 92 and 128. And 128 is the highest state of that, experiencing the space, external space and the inner space. We will come to that, but that is the highest level. But here it is Shaktopaya because there is still an imagination. You imagine that sky within your head, and then from that imagination you move to a pervasion or to an absorption, samavesha, into that Tejas Tattva. Tejas, very powerful word, also again a Vedic word. Tejas Tattva, that light-filled. Tejas means not only light but also energy, nature, which is the nature of Bhairava. He is that full of light, full of energy, full of fire, the fiery. Tejas is a very, very powerful word. And that's Sarvam, everything. So he enters into the glory. I have translated Tejas as glory, it's also not wrong. Under the glory of his nature. So with the space, obviously, there are two qualities which are, one is the openness, the freedom, the unlimitedness of space, and the other is the light nature. But then he comes, now in between there is one different, 86 is quite different. But then we come to the other nature of Bhairava, which is the nature of darkness. So I'm just reading this translation, but 86. Kinchit jñātam dvaitadai. When one realizes the nature of Bhairava in the states of wakefulness and others, that is, knowing a little of that which brings about the sense of duality, that is wakefulness, external light, that is dream, and darkness, deep sleep, then one is filled with infinite splendor. Ananta Prakasha Brit, it's beautiful, the result of this practice, but it's not easy to understand. The interpretation says that it refers to the three states of waking, dream, and deep sleep. But I have made another translation which is more literal, but I'm not saying that you should accept it, but just as an alternative. It's in German, but I'll do it in English. Who has a limited knowledge, kinchit jñātam, that leads to duality, dvaitadai. This external light is as well as darkness. That means ignorance. But who views the universe and everything, Vishvati, as a form of Bhairava, or who contemplates on the universe as a form of Bhairava, Vishvati, Bhairavam Rupam, he becomes the bearer of the infinite light of consciousness. So this is a more literal translation, but it is certainly it's related to the states of waking, because in the waking state you are in a duality, subject, object, etc. And the dreaming state, he says Bahya Loka, actually it means the external light, but external light which is taking into the dreaming state. That's the interpretation. And darkness, which is a deep sleep. And maybe Silburn has another version, because it's a very complex but important verse. 6. She says, if one knows fully the form of Bhairava in the waking state, and a limited knowledge producing duality, again, waking and other states. Limited knowledge producing duality related to waking, externalizing vision relating to dream, and darkness relating to deep sleep, then one is filled with the infinite splendor of consciousness. So you see, I think both are related, or all the three are connected. But may I tell you once again what I did? A little more here. Kinchit jñātam, who has a limited knowledge that leads to duality, dvaitadai. It produces duality. This external light is as good as darkness. So I have taken this in a different, Bahya Lokas Tama Punah, a different sense. that external light which is dualistic knowledge. It is as good as darkness. But who views the whole universe and everything as a form of Bhairava, he knows or who contemplates or who knows the whole universe as a form of Bhairava, he becomes the carrier of the infinite light of consciousness. See that Bhairava akara, Vishvadi Bhairavam Rupam Jnatva Ananta Prakasha Prit. It's very beautiful. Prit, he becomes a carrier of that infinite light. It's so beautiful. If you think of any great saint, or Jivanmukta, or enlightened being, see what they are, carrier of that infinite light. Ananta Prakasha Prit. That this expression is so beautiful. But however you understand these three states, but then moving from that dualistic state of waking where there's subject-object duality to that universal form of Bhairava, vision of that universal form, Vishvadi Bhairavam Rupam. If you know this, then you become a carrier of that infinite light of consciousness. Well, consciousness is in bracket, but it is implied. Ananta Prakasha Prit. So Swamiji has a very long commentary here because he relates it to the states of Jagat, Swapna, Sushupti, waking, dream and deep sleep with an analysis of these. This is a common analysis in Vedanta also and in Kashmir Śaivism, of course. There comes Turiya and Turiyatita, but here it's only the three states of consciousness. And so we are not going into that analysis, but I think these two translations should give us some hint. Now, Bhairava in his, you may say, mythological form, how he is normally understood, he is a very fierce deity. And he is not only related to light, but also to darkness. And all this iconography and so on, but not these popular versions of Bhairava, not that. It's not only Bhairava, but the divine in any tradition. You go into any mystical tradition, the divine is not only experienced as light, but also as darkness. And these meditations are on the dark nature of Bhairava. And darkness is again something which deprives you of a support. We are still in that field of Niradhara, because in the light you have, you can orient yourself and you are focusing on something, etc. But in darkness, you don't have a torch, you don't have anything. You have no support. So 87 and 88, again, the one is related to the cosmic, to the outside, and the other to the internal darkness. In the same way, on a dark night, we are now in this Krishna Paksha, moving to Diwali, Krishna Paksha. On a dark night, at the beginning of the dark fortnight, Krishna Paksharamitra, while meditating on the darkness, one attains the nature of Bhairava. Durnishayam, in a very dark night, and Swamiji says it must be raining, because Durnisha, it's also completely dark, and it's raining, and you have no sense of, you cannot see anything. So, in that external darkness, you experience Bhairava. And it's so beautiful. He says, there should be all this sound of the rain and the pitch dark, and it is all Bhairava dancing outside. I like this. Beautiful. So experiencing the divine in darkness, external darkness also. It's beautiful to meditate with us. Absolutely no lights. And he rightly says it is Shaktopaya, because there is still some bhavana to bhavayan. Yeah, the verb is also bhavayan. Meditating on that dark nature of Bhairava. Anyhow. And 88, and when he connects with the previous verses, evam eva, in the same way, or in a similar way, by first closing one's eyes and meditating on the darkness in front, and then opening the eyes and contemplating the dark form of Bhairava, one becomes one with that. Tanmayo bhavet. This is tanmaya, just to become one with that. With that means with that darkness which is Bhairava. So here there is an action of closing the eyes and consciously, we are closing the eyes at meditation anyhow, but consciously meditating on the darkness of the closed eyes. And then, when you open the eyes, the same darkness has to be perceived, which was perceived within, outside. After opening your eyes, when you see nothing in front of you, you continue this meditation. That is Bhairava. Outside also there is Bhairava, not only inside when your eyes are closed. Only darkness, etc. Of course, ideally meditating in a dark room, but even if there's slight light, even then, after concentrated meditation on that darkness with closed eyes, when you open the eyes, even then, that darkness remains. Now, 89 is something else. It is there are two dharanas connected with pain. I must say I recommend them very much because I have practiced them. They are different. There's the second one. Sorry, I didn't note. There are two. Yes, 93 is the second one. If any organ is obstructed by striking an external object, or if one causes an obstruction oneself, one enters in the non-dual state of void, and there itself the self shines forth. Now these two, maybe we can take 93 along so we see the difference. If one pierces kinchit angam vibhidyadau tikshna sutyadina tata tatraiva chetanam yuktva bhairava nyamalakate. If one pierces any limb or part of the body with a sharp needle, that you get an injection or anything, or any other instrument, then by concentrating on that very point, one attains the pure state of Bhairava. Actually, these are very practicable dharanas. I said I should tell a joke, but it's not a joke. I experienced that when I'm at the dentist. Because when the dentist, he's really going into that nerve canal, and you feel that extreme pain, you can't escape because you're just bound to that chair and you can't. And at that moment, but I did that practice, and it's wonderful. There are pains where you can't run away. So this is the 93.
Maybe we could compare the pain that Jesus Christ felt on the cross. While he was there, Jesus Christ in the cross, and he was being crucified.
I can hear.
So we can compare maybe that pain that Jesus Christ was feeling in the cross while he was being crucified.
Yeah.
In terms of that experience.
Yes, I mean, but pain, especially pain in a very limited part of the body, it makes you so concentrated. You may try to concentrate on that, you will not be able to do it unless you experience pain. I tell you, you please meditate on this tip of this finger. You will not be able to do it. But if the doctor comes and takes out blood from that, then you will be concentrated there completely. So it's not, it's quite practical. One enters in the non-dual state of void. So the greater the pain, the more void you experience. But if you are a yogi, if you have already practiced these meditations and this awareness, etc., then tatraiva atma prakashate. In that very spot, the self shines forth, because it's so much concentrated on that non-dual advaya shunya. See, that advaya shunya doesn't come often in the text. Maybe this is the only place. The non-dual void. But in the case of pain, you don't think of anything else. You're just on that spot. Yes, I had one of my earlier dentists, he had a poem in his clinic saying that the patient, he thinks that this tooth is so terribly painful, and that if the pain would just move from the tooth to the toe, I would be so relieved. The next day he has pain in the toe. And then his whole concentration goes there from the tooth. So this is what automatically your concentration goes there. Now, in between there are again two verses on sound. It has again to do with, we just finished these two, then we have a little, made some advance for tomorrow. These are also aspects of supportlessness. Supportlessness in the sense of you want to recite something and you cannot recite it. You cannot utter it. And actually 90, did we chant? No, sorry. We came up to 88 only. So we recite 89. You don't mind 2 verses more and then you are free. 89 to 91. Yasya kasendriyasya vyakata cha nirodhata pravishtasya atvaye shunye tatrevatma prakashati abinduma visakha cha akarancha pato mahan uditi divi sahasa jnanauka parameshvara varanasya savigasargasya visargantam chitim kuru niradharena chittena sprishit brahma sanatanam. 90 actually has to do, if one recites the great sound A, not A, but A, short A, without bindu or visarga. You know, the bija mantras, they either end in a anusvara or in visarga. But only A. Short A. One recites the great A sound without bindu or visarga, then, O Goddess, the Supreme Lord, who is a torrent of wisdom, arises at once. Now this akara actually is an expression of wonder, of surprise. And there is, Swami, in the Kena Upanishad. It's not working. No? Then we stop. Yes. Okay. We can do this quickly tomorrow morning. So we'll start from 90 tomorrow.